corset. And then here is the pattern for the skirt lining and also the bodice pattern for the rose dress, which I will be cutting out next. Here is the lining that's already been made, which we cut in satin back crepe. Here is the taffeta that we're laying up now for the top part of the undergarment, which is in silk taffeta. Cutting it is made up. This is our lining made up. This is our corset, the start of our corset, and a bone that's already covered in crepe satin. Now I'm placing the corset onto the dummy with the underskirt pinned on, and then it gets stitched together. And this is the completed undergarment. We are laying up the taffeta, the organza, and then the pattern. Then we pin the pattern onto the taffeta and organza, and then mark all these dots, so afterwards we can draw some lines going across so we know where we're going to stitch. So now we're starting to cut the pattern. Once we've cut the pattern, we start basting, which I'm doing now. And now we are drawing lines to show where we're going to stitch to make the tucks and then the pleats at the bottom. Pinning the chalk lines together so I can machine them to create the tucks and pleats at the bottom. All the pieces stitched. And now that we have them stitched, we have to join the fronts all together and then the backs all together, and then we mould it onto the stand. So here we are trying to mould the garment onto the undergarment. It needs to be pulled and stretched and any way we can to make it look perfect. The pinning process takes time, so we need to take time to mould and pin, mould and pin. So we could be pinning and taking the pins out, then putting them back, then putting them back in, just till we get the perfect shape we like. Once that's all done, then we shall mark where we need to stitch. Here is the garment on the stand fully pinned. The next process is the stitching process. At the bottom of the rose dress, we have to create pleats that would fit perfectly onto the undergarment hem. We create these tucks. So basically, we do these pleats at the bottom of the dress that will get attached to the bottom of the inside skirt. We've also put the grain around the neck here, so it creates tucks. So what we will do is fold this back up to where the zip is and pin it so we can sew it down. Then we will lay all the pleats flat and then pin the collar down evenly right round, and then we will be hand sewing it down. Once the pin tucks have been stitched down, it stops at the top of the collar, and then the tucks create a big ruffle which are not stitched down. Now we are placing the dress back on the dummy, making sure everything hangs correctly. I have to work to get the shape together, especially on a dress like this, which has so much fabric. This is the sleeve. They were in two parts, the front and the back. Join this together. It gets folded and stitched down. Sleeves get twisted and pinned to create the massive collar section of the back of the neck, which we will place 2 or 3 bones on either side to keep it up. Now is the time to begin creating the roses on the main body of the dress. This process takes a lot of time as we pin, ruffle, twist, and then stand back and see if it looks beautiful. This is a process of trial and error until we are happy with what we have created. This is the final look hanging on the dummy, and I hope